So today we're going to work with the notion that a strong back creates forward momentum. In yoga philosophy, some say that the back represents the space where we store memories and past experiences. We carry the weight of our experiences on our backs, on, like a backpack. But it's no wonder that the back is tight and holds a lot of tension and discomfort, especially as we age, because we're carrying more and more stuff as we go. So a healthy back is critical to not only our movement and stability, but when the back is out of alignment, when the back is tight or weak, it impacts our breathing, and it impacts the capacity for the parasympathetic nervous system to function effectively. And the parasympathetic nervous system is our calm down system. The parasympathetic nervous system is also instrumental in our emotional balance. So when the posture is lacking and the back is feeling unhealthy, it is a fundamental imposition on our well-being. So today we're going to lubricate some joints, strengthen muscles in the hips and shoulder girdles, and stretch and strengthen muscles along the spine, work a little bit with fascia, and hopefully you'll feel a little taller, a little more fluid, a little more confident moving, a little less burdened by those memories that you carry on your back. So with that being said, I invite you now to find a comfortable space to lie down on your back. So keep your knees bent as you first come down on your back. Be kind to yourself. As you lie down on your back, feel the hips supported by the earth. Feel the natural curve of the low back as it lifts slightly off the floor. And feel how the spine between the ribs, the thoracic spine, makes contact with the earth. And then again, feel a little curve in the neck where it lifts up from the floor. And then you feel the head supported once more by the earth. Slide the shoulder blades along your back body so that your shoulders relax away from your ears and the upper arms can roll towards the floor, hollowing out the armpits a little more, stretching through the front of the chest, beginning this stretching and opening of the front body to allow alignment of the back body. Slumping. And then notice if your back would prefer the knees stay bent today, or if you'd like to slide your legs out straight on the floor. Take a big breath in through your nose, sigh out through your mouth. One more time, a big breath in, just sigh it out and let it go. One more time, a big breath in. Feel the earth support you. Letting go. If you'd like, the eyes can soften or close. Find the breath. Breathing in. And breathing out. Begin to imagine the breath traveling from the back of the throat down the length of the spine. Feel it moving across every vertebrae, every little curve down to the tailbone. And as you breathe out, feel the breath meander like a little river back up the spine. Let the breath play along the vertebrae like rocks in a riverbed. Not forcing the breath to move, but allowing it to be slow and steady. Imagine the breath bringing nourishment ease and support to the spine itself, to all the nerves, all the systems that run through the spine and along the spine, to all the muscles, all the tendons and ligaments in the back body. Feel a sense of restoring balance. And then let go of any effort in guiding the breath and simply notice. Notice any sensations in the body. And begin to notice your body again. Bring your awareness to your pelvis, knowing where your hips are, where the hip sockets are, the hip ridge along the back body, and the pubic bone along the front body. Gently begin to rock the hips ever so slowly, ever so slightly, so that the tailbone moves towards the heels and the low back flattens. And then the pubic bone moves towards the top of the feet and the low back lifts. Just doing little tilts, starting to find what mobility or limits are there in the hips right now, in the low back right now. It may help to press into the heels and relax the knees a little bit more and flex and point the feet to help get that sense of rocking the hips. When the knees bend, it takes some pressure off the hamstrings and the low back, giving you a little bit more mobility. And then find what you feel is a neutral position for the hips so that the low back is slightly off the floor and the hips can relax, the legs can relax. And just notice any difference. And then bend your elbows so that your palms are facing each other, fingers towards the sky, and the upper arms are on the floor, supporting you. The upper arms are close in by your body. And keeping the hips on the floor and the head on the floor, lift just the rib cage off the floor and slide the shoulder blades towards each other. As you breathe out, lower the ribs down and spread the shoulder blades wide. Lift the ribs, little mini fish pose, and lower the ribs. Make sure you keep your head straight and stationary as you lift and lower. And find a flow of the breath that supports this movement. So for some of us, the breath in may help to lift the ribs and the breath out, lower. But for some of us, the exhale is the contraction of the shoulder blades towards the spine, and the inhale is the spreading wide. So just notice how the breath can support you in this movement. And then let your shoulder blades come down on the floor. Slide the shoulder blades wide, flat on the back, and let your arms rest. Take a moment to notice how you feel. And then stretch your arms overhead. And give yourself a big stretch and a little squeal on the exhale. Sounding is very therapeutic. And sounding and vibrations help to activate the parasympathetic nervous system when you create vibration in the upper chest and the throat with your sounds. And wiggle and squiggle a little, stretching diagonally the opposite hand and foot away from each other, and then the other side. And then keeping the arms either in cactus or overhead, take a breath in. And on the exhale, bring one knee into your belly. Bring that same side hand against your shin or your thigh, the back of the thigh. Take a breath in. And on the exhale, bring your knee out to the side. Stretching the adductors. Inhale, come back to the center. Now switch hands. Bring the opposite hand to the knee. And on the exhale, give yourself a gentle twist to that other side. Coming back to center on the inhale, extend that leg. Now both hands are on the leg as you exhale, toes towards the crown of the head. Now flex the foot and extend the leg straight up. Flex the hands so both palms go up towards the sky. And then point the fingers, point the toes, and lower the arms and the leg at the same time. Take a big breath in. Let it go. And take a moment to notice the difference in the two sides. And on your next exhale, bring the other leg in towards the belly. Same side hand holds the shin or the back of the thigh. On your next exhale, bring that knee out to the side. Inhale the knee back to the midline, change hands, and on the exhale, bring the knee across the body in a twist. Inhaling back to center, extend that leg up, both hands support the leg as you exhale and bring the toes towards the crown of the head. Bring the leg back up to the sky, flex the foot, take the hands, flex the palms. And then point the fingers, point the toes, and bring the leg and arm back down, arms back down. Take a big breath in, breathe it out, let it go. Now I'm going to give you a few minutes to do this sequence on your own, at your own pace, in whatever way works for you. You can follow along with me or do it as it serves you. Starting with a big breath in and a stretch. On the exhale, bringing one knee into the chest. Find the breathing pattern that supports you as the knee comes out to the side, across the body in a twist, extending the leg and stretching it towards the top of the head, straightening the arms and the legs and flexing, and then pointing and coming back to the starting position. Take a pause and a breath of rest before you do the other side. And bringing that knee in, out to the side, across the body, extending and reaching, straightening and flexing, and then lowering back down. Take a breath, a pause, a break. Feel the difference between the engagement of the muscles and the relaxing of the muscles. And then continue to go at your own pace. Take another pause or do another round. Remember to pause before you go to the other side, helping the body create a memory of ease, of rest. Feel free to pause at any time and linger in any space. And if you're doing one side, when you get to that last side, complete your sequence. Taking your time. Gradually allowing the body to come back to resting on the floor, legs and arms, comfortable and relaxed. So the arms may want to be down by the sides or in cactus. And once more, revisit the breath moving up and down the spine. Inhaling as the breath meanders across the vertebrae down towards the tailbone and comes back up towards the crown of the head. Notice if there's been any change in the quality, characteristics, or sensations in the body now, as opposed to a few moments ago. And then slide your arms in close by your body. Turn your palms towards the floor so that your arms can give you support. And then bend your knees, bring your heels towards your buttocks on the floor. Align the tailbone and the pubic bone so that the pelvis is neutral. So the tailbone is lined up with the heels right now. There's a little curve in the low back. And on your next exhale, push into your feet and the arms and lift your hips off the floor, coming into a bridge pose. Push the tailbone now towards the back of the knees to keep the pelvis level. Squeeze the glutes a little bit, but relax through the muscles of the pelvic floor. That'll relax your low back a little bit. Lift up through your breastbone. Keep the shoulder blades wide. And take 3 breaths here. And notice if that felt like too many or not enough. At the end of that 3rd breath, or whenever it feels right to you, slowly start to lower the hips down to the floor. Relax the arms by your sides. Keep the knees bent for a moment. And take a breath. Let the spine relax. And then extend one leg up towards the sky. As you breathe out, cross the ankle to the outside of the other thigh, making like a number 4. Reach through the hole between the legs with one outside hand, and then the other hand comes around to meet the fingers on the back of the thigh, coming into a number 4 or supine pigeon. Or a piriformis stretch. So the piriformis runs across the back hip ridge, and when the piriformis is tight, it can misalign the sacrum, the lower back, which can affect posture all the way up through the shoulders. So pull the thigh that the hands are wrapped around a little more towards the belly for more sensation, or press away for a little more softness. You can use that opposite elbow pushing into the inner thigh, stabilize, but also to create more sensation. Make sure the tailbone is still on the floor. As much as you can, keep a little curve in the low back. And then let that one leg go so the foot comes down onto the floor. Take the leg that's crossed, bring it up towards the sky, and then plant that foot on the floor. Bring both hands by your sides for a moment. Take a breath in and let it go. And now we're going to do the other side. So extending the other leg up towards the sky, bend the knee, bring the ankle to the outside of the opposite thigh. Take a moment to pause here to feel that alignment. Notice if the hips shifted, one hip way over to the other one, or if the low back really flattened out. Try to keep a little curve of the low back. And then reach the hands in and around the back of that other thigh. Pull it towards the belly. This side might be totally different. This piriformis may be much more flexible or tight. And again, pulling the hips, the thigh, into the belly. Creates more sensation along that hip and the glute and the piriformis. And pushing that elbow into the thigh can help to stabilize, but also can create a little more sensation if that's what you'd like to go for. And take 2 more breaths here in this stretch. Notice how when there's tension or sensation, the breath is sometimes reluctant to join you. Those are the times when we need the breath the most. And then gradually plant that one foot on the floor. Take the leg that was crossed and extend it up to the sky. And then bring that foot onto the floor. Plant the feet. Bring your arms out to the sides. Take a breath in. And on the exhale, let your knees go to one side. Create a little double knee down twist. Keep the shoulders grounded. The upper chest relax. Again, we're working on posture. We're working on those muscles that support along the spine. The QL, the transverse abdominis on the front body, and then bring the knees back to center and cross over to the other side. And if it feels good to go back and forth, side to side, you may want to step your feet wider and let one knee follow the other one over to one side and then the other, giving you a little quad stretch along the front of the thigh, getting the knees moving a little, the ankles moving a little, or simply continue to drop both knees to one side and hold for a few breaths, and then to the other side and hold. And if you're doing wiper legs or side twists, gradually let the legs come back up, feet on the floor, close together. And when you breathe out, roll over to one side and pause here. And then gradually roll onto your belly. As you roll onto your belly, take a moment to pause here. Relax the feet, relax the head. You can rest the head on the hands, the back of the hands, or you can let the arms be by your side, the head on the floor. Just take a moment to pause here and feel the front of the body supported by the earth. The back body now expanding, widening into the sky. And gradually bring your palms stacked on top of each other so that you can place your forehead on the back of your hand. And then lift and lower the shoulders. So you're widening the shoulder blades, and then you're bringing the shoulder blades towards each other. Lift them wide and lower them down. You're kind of hollowing out your armpits. Just activating some of those muscles in the mid-thoracic spine. And do that one more time. And then lift your head just enough to take the hands out from underneath your forehead and bring them by your sides. Tuck the elbows in close to your body and bring your forehead or your nose or your chin or lips to the mat. Relax the legs, the feet, the knees, the hips, and then push the pubic bone into the floor. On an inhale, lift up through the back of your head, roll the shoulders back, squeeze the shoulder blades against the ribs, not towards each other, coming into a cobra pose. And as you breathe out, come back down. Breathe in and lift up. And breathe out and come back down. And do that one more time with the inhale lifting and the exhale lowering. Pause here, keeping your hands in position. Now we're going to switch up the breath just to start to notice where the inhale supports the movement and where the exhale supports the movement. So now take a breath in while you're lying straight And exhale, lift. Inhale, come down. Exhale, lift. One more time. Now come on down to the resting position, keeping the hands where they are. This time you're going to choose. Does the inhale lift the body or does the exhale lift the body? Notice what works for your breath, your body. And then do 3 more with the breath pattern that you choose. After you've done 3 with your breath choice, gradually slide your elbows under your shoulders, forearms and palms on the floor. Slide the shoulder blades along the ribs and away from the ears and lift up through the crown of the head. Pull the head back a little bit to open the collarbones. More de-schlumping, helping the back to relax and the front to open. And then take one shoulder and pull it forward, and then another shoulder, alternating side to side, just bringing some stretch to the side body and along the back, one side and then the other. And then coming back to center, lift up tall, take a breath in. On the exhale, push into your forearms. Use your hands and your forearms to support you and tuck your toes. Take another breath, and on that next exhale, squeeze your belly in and start to lift your hips and walk your knees towards your elbows so that your knees are right under your hips, your elbows are right under your shoulders. And then let your head hang towards the floor. As your head hangs, let your spine relax. Maybe turn your head a little side to side. And if you have blocks, bring the blocks underneath your forearms. And then return to this puppy. And if you have blocks or not, begin to position the forearms to support you, hugging the shoulder blades onto the back body, tuck the toes, take a breath in, and on the exhale, now lift your knees off the floor, coming into dolphin pose. Take a breath or two here or alternate. Coming back down, lifting up, coming back down, lifting up. And either stay in dolphin for 2 breaths or lift up and lower 2 more times. And then bring your knees down onto the floor. Stretch your arms out and press your hips back on your heels in child's pose, or keep the knees under the hips and come into a modified puppy so that you can relax. If you have props, a blanket, a bolster, or blocks, and you want to put a bolster or block behind the hips to come into child's pose with supports, you can also bring a block or a bolster under the chest or under the forehead. And if this doesn't feel good, then perhaps you want to bring a bolster under the chest and a block under the forehead in puppy. Find a way to support the body so that the back body can relax. The back needs to fully relax to release. Before we can strengthen, we need to stretch. We need to be open and available for movement. Take 2 more breaths here. And then gradually make your way up into table pose. With the shoulders right over the wrists, the hips right over the knees. Drop the belly, let the chest open, the head lengthen, tailbone and crown of the head, creating a perfect arch, a smiling face of the spine. As you breathe out, create a rainbow. The tailbone goes down towards the floor. The crown of the head goes down towards the floor. Not so much that you're contracting through the front body, but just enough to create the smile and the wide, expansive rainbow. So find spaciousness in the front and back body through the whole movement. There should be no contraction of the low back when the belly goes towards the floor, and no excessive contraction of the abdominal muscles or the chest collapsing as the spine lifts. And then bring the spine back to a neutral position. Take one arm out to the side, keeping that arm level for a moment. Feel those muscles along the back ribs supporting that arm. Use those muscles to raise that arm up and bring it down to the floor. Raise the arm up and bring it down. If you'd like to add a twist as the arm lifts, you can rotate the ribs and bring it down. There's no contorting of the spine here. It's a simple rotation of the rib cage around the spine. The fingers touch down, the ribs open, the arm lifts. Or keep the spine straight and use just the muscles on your back behind your shoulder blade to lift and lower. Excuse me. One more, and then lower that down and take a big breath in. Sigh it out and let it go. Take a moment to notice that work, that rest. And then find the other arm doing the same thing. Stretch it straight out to the side. Pause here. Find that alignment. Find the engagement of those muscles along the back of the shoulder blade. Not the muscles along the neck, but the ones along the ribs. And then raise that arm up and lower it down. Raise it up and lower it down. This side might be totally different. And if you'd like, as you raise it up, rotate the ribs and open that side body and come back down. So the hips don't move. There's no shifting of the spine. The ribs are simply moving around the spine like a barrel. And one more time, and bring that hand down. Take a breath in, and on the exhale, lower yourself down into puppy or child's pose. Take 5 breaths here to rest, to release, to restore, nurture. Do a quick little scan of the body, scan of the emotions and the mind. Notice what you're holding on to, what's bringing you joy, where the thoughts and feelings might be hunkering down or able to let go. And then gradually find your hands supporting your body so that you can come up into table once more. And we're going to come up to standing. So for some folks, stepping 1 foot forward, creating a lunge and coming forward is a good way to come to standing. For some folks, it's down dog. I prefer down dog, but do what works for you. And if you have a chair close by, you can bring your hands to the chair. Tucking the toes, taking the knees off the floor, giving yourself a shift of the weight into the legs, and gradually walking the feet towards the hands or the hands towards the feet. Bend the knees, bring the belly on the thighs, and push the hips back. Walk the hands up the shins and then to the tops of the thighs. Pause here with the spine straight. Push the tailbone towards the wall behind you. Crown of the head towards the wall in front of you, and squeeze your belly just a little bit to lift up through the kidneys. Relax the collarbones and spread the collarbones wide. And then gradually come up to a standing position. As you come up to standing, bring a chair over to the wall. And if you don't have a chair, just come to the wall. And if you don't have a wall, just stand in the middle of your mat. So position the chair about a foot in front of you, a foot and a half in front of you. And take a moment to slide your back against the wall with your heels about an inch or so away from the wall. It really depends on the dynamics of your body. So the hips are touching the wall and the shoulders may touch the wall. And find your posture here with the chin level. Just doing a little posture check. The hands can be pointing forward or on the wall for support. Put a little bend in your knees so that the legs are holding you, not the wall. And the feet are at least hip distance apart. Shift your weight into one leg and take the heel of the other foot off the floor. And then go to the other side. Notice if your hips are lifting up when you do that. Keep the hips aligned and just alternate lifting one heel and then the other. Keeping the pelvis steady, keeping the spine steady. A lot of times when we start to use these hip flexors and the fronts of the thighs or the glutes, the shoulders want to round. So keep your shoulders pressing towards the wall behind you as you lift one knee and the other, the toes staying on the floor. You may notice those low abdominal muscles engaging. Sometimes it's hard to get those guys to join the party. This is a good way to do that. And then plant both feet. Feel yourself supported evenly by both feet. And take one foot lifted off the floor and put it on that chair in front of you. If the chair is too far in front of you and the ankle is way ahead of the knee, slide the chair closer to you. So one leg is supporting you on the floor, one foot is supporting you on the chair, seat of the chair. Take the opposite hand to that knee that's in front of you. Bring the other arm by your side and just do a little turn towards the wall. Breathe. Come back and take a breath in. On the exhale, do it again. Lengthen the spine and turn and look over that other shoulder. Breathe in and come back to center and breathe out and turn. Breathe in back to center and breathe out and turn. One more time. The key here is to keep the spine long, and the rotation again is through the ribs, not through the shoulders, not through the hips. Take that foot and bring it back down to the floor. And then shift your weight and bring the other foot up onto the chair. Opposite hand to knee, lengthen the spine, keep the shoulders level. And on an exhale, turn to the other side. You may notice this side is different. You may notice the hip wanting to lift or the shoulder wanting to lift or drop as you make the twist. So it's not how far you go, it's how you stay aligned along the spine. Feel that sense of length, of tallness, of alignment right along the spine as you turn. For me, when I do this, I feel a sense of grace, of royalty, just sort of being very tall, of strength, of significant stature. And then gradually coming back, take that foot off the chair, bring it down onto the floor, and take a moment to pause here and notice. And then with your hands on the wall for support or your elbows on the wall for support, put a bend in the knees. Feel the soles of the feet. Level the pelvis. Level the shoulders. Level the chin. And then slide the body up the wall by taking the heels off the floor, coming up on your toes, and slide back down. Slide up and slide down. Slide up and slide down. Up and down. As you do this, if you're not on the wall, keep the knees bent and the pelvis level so that as you're lifting, you're using the muscles of the leg. And then let the hips come down. Now, if you have a chair and the wall, keep your hips on the wall and keep the chair in front of you. If you don't have a chair, turn and face the wall and place your hands on the wall. And if you don't have either, stand at the back of your mat. So we're going to go into down dog. We're going to go into down dog with a variation that keeps the spine long and engaged. The muscles that are supposed to support will, and we won't feel, hopefully, that tension in the low back from gripping to hold on during the bend. So hips on the wall, knees with a bend in them. A pretty good bend, and the feet flat on the floor, but the arch is lifted. Take a breath in, and on the exhale, begin to lift the hips up the wall and bring the hands onto the seat of the chair. If you're standing facing the wall, begin to walk your hips back and away, keeping the knees bent, the hands about shoulder height, and extending the arms. So gradually, the spine comes parallel to the floor. If you're standing at the back of your mat doing down dog, the knees bend, the hips go back as if you're going to sit in a chair. The spine lengthens, and then the hands come out in front of you. The legs extend back. So back to those on the wall. If the hips are on the wall, the hands are on the chair. Notice if you're getting enough of a stretch. And if you'd like, you can come down onto the forearms and bring the head in between the elbows. Creating this down dog. Lift the tailbone towards the sky. Whether your arms are on the chair, on the wall, or your hands are on the floor, lift the tailbone and tilt the pelvis so the tailbone is shooting straight up to the sky. And then squeeze those low belly muscles as if you're trying to pull the pubic bone towards the ribs, towards the xiphoid at the base of the ribs.
But at the same time, you're still lifting the tailbone. And breathe.
Take 3 more breaths here. See if you can maintain space in the low back as you lengthen the spine, strengthening right along the sides of the hips, the spine. And after you take that last breath, slowly begin to take the hands off the chair to the thighs, or the feet away from the wall towards the wall, or walk the feet towards the hands if your hands and feet are on the floor. And come back up to standing, back against the wall. Inhale, raise the arms up overhead. Exhale, bring the arms down, using just those muscles on the back of the body. Don't let the shoulders round over. Don't let the arms come off the wall. They may not raise as high with this alignment. They may only come up a little bit. And you may notice some of the abdominal muscles working differently and the chest muscles working differently with this posture alignment. And find the way that the breath supports you. So for some of us, the exhale, raising the arms up, stabilizes the core. For some of us, the inhale, filling the core with breath, stabilizes the core as the arms go up. So you notice what movement supports you. And one more time. And then let the arms come down by your side. Bring your hands to your belly. Relax your shoulders and your hips. And let the wall support you for a moment. And once more, find that spinal breathing. Letting the breath follow the flow of the vertebrae, like rivers in a stream, towards the tailbone, towards the crown of the head. And then gradually, if you have a chair, bring it to the end of your mat. And then come to stand in the middle of your mat in that same position, mirroring the posture you just had on the wall, here standing on the floor. You know how this posture supports the flow of your breath? And then without moving any part of the body, let the hands come down by the side, keeping the posture aligned. Simply turn the head to one side and then the other. And notice if the torso wants to move with the head or the shoulders. And only move the head. And then bring the head back to center and only move the eyes. Eyes turn as if looking to the left, as if the head is turning left, right. And notice if the head wants to turn with the eyes. Just let the eyes do the work for a moment. And then let the eyes come back to center. And imagine you have a little paintbrush on your nose and make circles with your nose. And then gradually make those circles bigger. And even bigger, if that feels good. And then reverse your circles. And gradually make them smaller. And smaller. until the nose comes back to center. Take a big breath in and breathe it out. Notice, checking in with yourself. Slide the shoulder blades up the back ribs and out wide and down. Let the arms be really loose and fluid so you can hollow out the armpit. Really using those shoulder blades and the muscles along the shoulder blades as opposed to the upper shoulders to make the circles. And then let the arms rest by your side. Put a bend in your knees and start to let your hips make circles. So the feet can be wider apart or closer together. Let the hips circle around so that the pelvis stays pretty neutral. There isn't a contracting or a pinching of any part of the front or back body. And then reverse your circles. And as you reverse your circles, slow it down and bring the hips gradually back to center. Take one foot, slide it out and back to the side and circle the ankle around in circles. Heel off the floor, knee like nice and relaxed. And then make it go the opposite way. And then step that foot back and do the other side. Stretch that foot back and to the side and circle the ankle. And then reverse your circles. And then bring that foot back to the floor. Hands to your belly, slide the feet close together and take a moment to be swaying bamboo. Allow the body to recenter itself, to realign along the spine. You may feel twitching or swaying. You may feel great stillness, stacking the body, and at the same time allowing it to be relaxed. Take just a few more minutes here to sway like bamboo. And then gradually, with a big full breath, make your way down to sitting on the floor. And you have a choice now. If you have a bolster or a blanket or a towel, and you like to roll it, you can bring it along the mat, right down the middle. And it needs to be long enough that it can go from right at the top of the sacrum all the way up to the back of the neck and the low part of the head. So one option for you today, for our final pose of the day, to support a healthy back, is to come to lie down on that blanket, supporting the head down to the low back. The hips are on the floor, the shoulders are relaxed, and the arms come by the sides. The knees can stay bent or the legs can straighten out on the floor in a supported fish pose. So for some of us, that's going to feel really yummy, opening up the front of the body and causing a reverse stretch of the back body. And the alternative, if you don't have a bolster or a blanket, but if you have that chair close by, is to come sit right up next to your chair. Take your hands behind you for support and bring the calves up on the chair. Bring the hips so that the knees and the hips are aligned, and lower yourself down onto the floor in constructive rest pose. The arms come by the sides, palms up in either pose. The hips are neutral, the pelvis neutral in either pose. The heart opens and the collarbones relax and spread wide. So whether it's constructive rest or supported fish pose, allow your body to settle into the support of the chair or the earth. Close your eyes. Let your breath slow, your body soften. Find one place in the body that feels a sensation associated with joy, of pleasure, of ease. Find joy in one place in your body and let everything else go. Let that sensation of joy spread further and further. Widening, expanding out throughout the body, now beyond. And take the next few moments to simply rest here in a space of joy. Slowly bring your awareness back to your breath and body without moving anything, just becoming aware. And with that awareness, allow yourself to make small movements to find the body in space, to reconnect with the fingers and toes. And if you'd like, roll to one side if you have that blanket along your back, and let your back come back down onto the earth, supported without the props. If you've got your legs up on the chair, slide back and stretch the legs out on the floor for a moment. And then allow yourself to return to a stillness, to that same ease, that same place of joy that you were at just a moment ago. Take a moment to focus on the breath moving up and down the spine. Bring the knees in towards the chest and give yourself a squeeze, perhaps rocking a little side to side. One more opportunity to send nurturing, kindness, and healing to your body. And then gradually roll to one side. As you roll to that side, tuck in with yourself and take a moment to receive the gifts that you've given yourself in your practice. As you receive those gifts, seal them with gratitude and appreciation. And then gradually make your way up to a comfortable seat. As you come up to sit with your spine tall, keep the eyes closed if you'd like. The focus inward. Feel the breath come down the length of the spine, rooting you into the earth. Feel the breath lift up and expand into the sky. Esther Hicks once said, "You just have to not let your joy depend upon what anyone else is living, because that'll get you every time." You just have to not let your joy depend upon what anyone else is living, because that'll get you every time. When we wait for others to guide our joy, to inspire our joy or create it, we tend to feel burdened and heavy of the experiences of the past. We tend to curl, slouch inward. So let your chest lift, your collarbones widen, your throat open to speak your truth, to know your joy, to support your posture, to lengthen and strengthen your spine, and feel all of your magnificence. If you'd like, bring your hands together in front of your heart, and we'll seal our class today with the sound of the universe, the sound of Om. Feel free to join in whatever way works for you. With a cleansing breath first, a big breath in, sigh it out and let it go. And then inhale. Peace, Shanti, Namaste.